talking all day about how strong the Zeri is, so definitely a formidable 2v2, and I've liked the Amumu into the Yuumi. It seemed like a good answer so far today, Rude Dude.
It is. Is this going to get locked in? It does. The GP for Dalek. Okay. A bit of history for you here, Hawk. The last time these two teams played, we saw OPL blind pick Gangplank. Adam picked Olaf and absolutely rolled Dalek. It was not even close. It was one of those games where, as I previously mentioned, Adam getting resources, been able to convert those leads. That was a game where it happened. And Adam was, absolutely running away with things on that top side. They take the GP once again anyway. So I'm looking to see whether they either ban the Olaf, they've got something different planned for them, if they've got something up their sleeves to try and contend with it, or if they're just saying, pick the Olaf once again because your comp doesn't necessarily need it, doesn't want it, or is going to be really stuck if you do.
Yeah, Olaf was nerfed in a recent patch. I think on 12.11, I want to say, maybe on 12.12. So it is potentially a little bit weaker than when Adam had it. But Adam was playing Olaf top when it wasn't meta, before the mini reworks. So I still would not be surprised to just see him pick it. And it wasn't banned out. Clearly, OPL thinks they figured something out. Maybe Darlik has figured something out about the matchup. I don't know. But yeah, going back to the GP, definitely very ambitious. And the mid lane bans on the other side going to continue. This time, BDS Academy, they want to remove playmakers as the Lissandra, a very interesting ban after you've banned out the Ahri.
Yeah, I'm not too sure what this may suggest. Maybe Yone, actually. We've seen that one rise. Yeah, exactly. The Windbro is potentially going to be the pick. I knew it. I low-key knew it, right? I was kind of saying, what are they going to do? And one of the games that they've actually played as well was, I believe, was Shenpai playing the Olaf jungle, but potentially something that could get locked in. They had the plan here, not letting Adam take the Olaf the second time round. They are going to lock in this Olaf that is going to be going into the jungle this time round. Shenfire hovering that ghost certainly stands to reason with that, and the top lane are already locked in.
Yeah, and the Olaf does decently well into the Wukong too. You out-clear it early, and then after 6, you can out-skirmish and out-duel it, or at least be competitive in that sense. So, very interesting pickup here for Shenfire. Clearly something, an answer that was prepared, but can we talk about what was just locked in here?
The Shyvana top?
Yeah. Or a Wukong top.
No, this is Shyvana top. This is Shyvana top. I promise you. If my prophet beings have given you anything right now, it's for you to believe that this is a Shyvana top lane for Adam. This is a pick that we've seen from VCS a couple times if you're interested in your minor regions. The LPL, I believe, as well, have started busting out the Shyvana top lane as well. So this is something that is starting to slowly rise up into the meta and is absolutely disgusting. Looks like they're going to lock in Peng's patented Soraka mid lane. This is a bit of a special one for us in particular. Yeah. But the Shyvana touch on, yeah, that's something new. This is There's a lot to talk about. Well, I'm going to finish the Shyvana point because that was where I started. But the essence of it is that she doesn't die and she does a lot of damage. And typically in bruisers, tanks, or carries, those are all very desirable attributes.
Right. And another thing I actually hadn't considered is Shyvana's auto attacks with the Q count as 2. So you can pop the barrel from 2, and Gangplank can't really do anything about it. There's no recourse there. So another interesting thing to note, this is not something I've seen. I don't follow the VCS particularly closely, I'll admit that. So very exciting to see this locked in here on the top side. And then, yeah, we've got the Soraka mid with the Olaf jungle. This is something that was played, in LCS? Cloud9 played this back in the LS days in the beginning of spring, and I haven't really seen it since. But people have still been saying Soraka mid's pretty good.
Yeah, there's certainly the element of potential for Soraka mid, and we'll just have to wait and see quite how strong it is as we head on to the Rift for game number 5 of the day.
It's the final game here on the Northern Arena stream of the LFL. The middle of the table has risen up to conquer the top and the bottom so far today, and BDS Academy is looking to do the same. It's the spiciest draft we've had all day, Rude Dude, and oh boy, I cannot wait to get into it.
No, nor can I. This is just one of those absolutely incredible games that I mean, we were coming into this and we've got ourselves with split predictions as well. So I think this one could be a fairly close game regardless. And to touch on a little bit as well, the sort of unknown quantity for me at the very least in Bung down in the bot lane. It's actually a player who, if you're unfamiliar, has been playing in competitive League of Legends for about 4 years, always been in and around the European space, previously spent a bit of time on Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition all the way back in 2018, so certainly has a lot of experience and now stepping into the shoes to help out for G, or to swap in for G-Core, so certainly having to see if he can step up to the plate.
And he's been given the keys to carry with Soraka and the Zeri in his hands. I mean, that is definitely a very hyper carry oriented composition here for Bung. You were talking about how Peng has been a big carry. Clearly, Peng comfortable to take a bit more of a back seat this time around. So something to keep our eyes on. It is an early invade here from the side of BDS Academy. We'll have to see how OPLAN reacts to this, because BDS also defends their own red side jungle. And we were talking about Olaf early game can outfarm the Wukong. Well, Wukong can try to be a thorn in your side and make things difficult.
I mean, this is kind of insane. There was a 4-man stack down on the bot side by OPLAN to prevent any invades on the bot side, but they're completely neglected to look at this top side of the rift, as Shio is just going to be able to take away 2 camps for free. If he leaves one little Raptor as well, that is just the, you know, the epitome of BM, really, by all accounts. But he's going to complete the clear, but now try and gank mid lane.
Yeah, Shio, the level 2 gank onto the Soraka. I like this a lot. Peng going to get slowed up by the red buff. It's not going to be a kill most likely, but that's so much damage given over, and Peng just forced to back away.
And the power of Soraka mid lane, you hit some star calls, you're going to get that health back for yourself, and obviously it's by no means going to be enough to keep him in a beneficial position in this lane, but does have that TP if he feels that the situation has gone too badly at all. I'm really surprised by the fact that Schönfire has continued to go into his topside jungle, having seen the gank angle from Shio, knows that his top 2 camps are gone, and instead he's just going to clear out on the Krugs instead. So getting a successful free buff here by Shio, exerting some pressure down in the mid lane also. Really good opening for the BDS Academy jungler.
Yeah, truly is. Shio really making his presence felt so far. And the gank for Reeker as well, another player that we were building up as a big carry and being given the Victor. It's weird to say this as someone that watches and casts NA League of Legends, as they're like getting heavily traded on right there. But Victor is actually not that common here in the LFL. It's so common in NA, I feel like I'm seeing it all the time, but it's outside of the top 10 highest presence mid laners here in LFL. So definitely a little interesting to see that one come out. Will do so much damage as Shio gets forced out of his own jungle. So Schönfire going to try to fight back here and get some camps for himself.
No blue buff is going to be taken though, and it is a ghost expended for a clone from Shio, so Schönfire burning his summoner spell in exchange for not a whole lot to be gained. The Rift Herald going to be, oh not the Rift Herald rather, the Rift Scuttler going to be the first camp of choice for Schönfire, and he's actually, he peeks his head in far enough, would have been able to see the blue, but he's not going to get it, so a little bit of a misread here on what Shio was going for. He did have mid control, did have bot or top control, but didn't elect to go all the way into the jungle there.
And this is a really huge swing. I mean, Olaf is a champion that needs early gold to really be functional, needs early levels, and Schönfire just neglecting to complete the invade right there. That's a huge advantage for BDS, because it was a good play to stop the 3 quadrant, right? And Schönfire was able to counter that play, and he's just not able to get in there. So BDS, they're going to feel pretty good about that one. They probably don't even know. I bet you Shio's going to come to his top side and be very surprised that all of those camps are up.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. The read from Schönfire, unfortunately, just not quite right. He was missing pinging on the Gromp as he was recalling, expecting that to be where Shio was, when Shio was actually just all the way down on this bot side. So, like I say, a little bit of a misread there by Schön, but overall, he gets out onto the map a little bit faster, so we may well see him try and explode a little bit into the jungle with better items, better tools. We're seeing Peng trying to hold that wave in the mid lane, and well, finally, I suppose, walks in and starts to take away this blue buff.
Better late than never, as I always say, yeah. Dude. I mean, at the end of the day, it really is just, it's fine. Now Schönfire gets to play around his top laner who's pushing in. He gets to take these camps away at the end of the day. So it really doesn't end up being the end of the world. Good break there, and OPLAN, they're going to be just fine in this early game.
But of course, the thing that we always sort of associate with Olaf, yes, it's going to be okay in the early game, but it needs to be better than okay. It needs to be winning. We need to see this Olaf start to generate some leads, generate some advantages, because as we get later and later into the matchup, it becomes much more difficult for the Olaf to find success. And something that I'm fairly scared of this entire game, just period, is their ability to kill Adam. I'm looking at the magic damage proponent of Oplon, and it is coming largely, weirdly enough, from their AD carry roll. In case people aren't aware, Zeri's magic damage profile is actually very high. You tend to do 60-40 magic damage share between magic damage and then physical damage being the slightly lower percentage in that case. But outside of that, they really don't have that much magic damage to be dishing out. It's Olaf, primarily physical damage, pretty much all physical damage, in fact. GP, the same sort of instance. So if Bung doesn't get off to the races, and even if he does, I'm fearful for the ability for Adam to simply stack armor and never die.
Yeah, for sure. And the amount of burst damage as well for BDS Academy. I mean, yes, you have a Soraka to try to counter some of that, but Victor, the amount of damage I've seen this champion output in team fights is absurd. And when you're also getting Dovan Bio Wukong and a Shyvana, as you say, if that Shyvana is just unkillable, she's going to be constantly running you down and putting in DPS. So something to keep our eyes on as this game progresses. BDS Academy has actually opened up about a 500 gold advantage, mostly coming off the farm in all 3 lanes. Now, mid lane farm, I feel like a little deceptive in a matchup like this. The Soraka not exactly meant to farm quite as well as the Victor, but still, it's something to keep note of.
It's not exactly deceptive, I don't think. I think this is just one of the pitfalls of having picked Soraka in the mid lane.
Right.
Is that you are likely just going to go down in farm, and that's something that you kind of have to accept, get over it, and move on with the rest of your life with it. So, that, like I say, at the end of the day, something that BDS have got for themselves. Adam already taking to proxy farming in this top side. He's got the precision tree. I imagine there's lifeline in there as well, so he's got a little bit of the restoration of health. You may well even be able to take away some top camps too. They take the Drake on the bot side here, Shenfire. That's sort of the Olaf guarantee. But Shio taking away 2 camps in the top side. We've got Adam taking away the 3rd. This is it's looking pretty brutal.
Yeah, I mean, it's just BDS Academy choosing to play for gold instead of dragons early on, which I think makes a lot of sense when you're up against Soraka. The more gold you can get, the more damage you can quickly output to find a kill. Pang forced to ult defensively too, to avoid getting solo killed. That is the kind of 1v1 laning that you want to see out of your mid laner here, as the Death Blazer barely isn't enough. Shermfire are going to turn up just to clear out that wave.
I mean, no surprise really. Peng's not stepping up for a star call there, really ever, unless he has, you know, willing to flash for a 3 minion wave. But continual pressure being put out by BDS Academy. Adam's back to proxy farming up on that top side, and this Amumu is something that we've seen really pop off so far this, well, today rather. Not particularly had the stellar performance down on that bot side that we tend to see, and that's largely due to its pairing with the Zeri. But Shenfire down this bot side has dodged vision, now they're going to go for a dive.
Yeah, it's the first major attempt of the game, but the final chapter just going to clear out the wave, and Bung actually gets chunked pretty heavily right there, taking down to half HP, and the dive is thwarted.
And they did spot out the Olaf as well, did show his face. This is not a surprise to the BDS Academy bot lane that they're, you know, going to be there's some sort of focus of attention. Teleport back to the bot lane for Crowny, sort of testing, toying, saying, hey, you can still dive me if you want, but it's on your own risk.
Watching Dreamer Ace walk up to an Olaf was pretty comical right there. Yumi, not renowned for her 1v1 capability, but trying to steal a Krug. I respect the attempt. Instead, just gets a shield, and more than anything, it's just going to be the Krugs denied and an ultimate forced out. So, I mean, Oplon, they go for a proactive play. It doesn't really end up happening, but I don't think they had their expectations set too high on a game-changing dive.
First important breakpoint has been hit in the mid lane. We've just heard Rika's X-Core tick over. We get to see it in example right there. He's now got that upgraded Death Laser, means that his ability to push and roam is now very much enhanced. You can use 1 Death Laser, you clear out the entire backline of minions at level 7, rank 4 of that E, and then it's also very easy to clear out the remainder of those minions if you are lining up the laser correctly with the melees. Crowny could be in trouble. Twist.
There it is, Curse of the Sad Mummy going to go, and Crowny's just, he's dead. He has no flash, he does have flash, but he doesn't have the arcane shift, and the smite ends up finishing it off. It is a kill going over to Twist. Unfortunately, the ignite did finish it off, but nice first blood picked up.
Yeah, and, you know, a nice little bit of proactivity. Good hiding, more so from Twist than anything else, playing hide and seek inside the pit to make sure that he's able to find that quick kill. Adam has burned his ult here. I don't think this is necessarily a bad thing by any means, but we're going to go for a bit of a scrap potentially on Darlic.
Yeah, Adam was taking some damage from the Krugs right there, though. Darlic probably just wanting to fight for the gold, and he does get the big Krug, but Shyvana does a lot of damage. Yeah.
We're going to talk about the Shyvana build when it gets built out. The imagination is here that we're going to see the Glacial Fist, whatever it's called these days. Frostfire Gauntlet in tandem with the Demonic Embrace, rather. Not two items that we tended to see paired with each other previously. Bung caught, but nice dash out to safety gets him away, and then ultimately, final chapter does get called for nothing. True Shot Barrage comes through, and they're going to have to seed a lot of plates down here. Rift Herald is in Shio's inventory. Very likely that they just brute force this entire turret.
Yeah, and despite getting the first blood down here on the bottom side, it's Oplon that's forced off in the subsequent play. It's just Shio roaming down with Reeker. Now is getting jumped on. Gangplank ultimate comes through. Shio take it so low, just ends up dying under the tower. Even in the 4v3, it's an overextension from the jungler of BDS Academy.
Yeah, and all three members happy to reciprocate there from Oplon, quite happy that they can pick up quite the significant amount of gold there. They do lose out on, 3 plates underneath their turret, and we got to see once again Adam just hover down into that mid lane, pick up a wave for himself, so not really missing out on anything in that regard. Good thing, of course, about proxy farming for Adam is that he tends not to be able to miss farm because he's the only one that's trying to last hit them.
Yeah.
But also it does give you some free time to just hop up and go for resets a lot faster, because the wave takes a lot longer to crash into the center of the lane if you've cleared it out from the further back portion down the laning phase. He's going to collect himself his second plate up here, and just using his ulti on cooldown, the way that Shyvana ult works as well. If you're unfamiliar, it's not gated by a cooldown, also gated by how much you attack, how much fury you generate. So when you get to a point of having generated 100 fury, you can simply ult again. And the way Adam's playing with proxy farming, with taking out the jungle, he probably gets it every other wave.
And something interesting to note is we brought up how Adam is typically a player on this BDS Academy roster that gets a lot of resources, but Adam has actually been left on the island and still managed to get himself very far ahead, so it's just like a slightly different look than maybe we were expecting out of them. But I mean, BDS Academy, they've made it work for themselves. Now starting up the second dragon. Once again, it looks like we're going to try for the 1-for-1 for Dragons trade, but Surenfire might have something to say about it. The Curse of the Sad Mummy goes in, only hits onto 1, but Shio, remember, is no flash, does end up getting taken down. He does get the dragon, however, Surenfire taken so low, but the Soraka is behind, smite off the crab as well. Bung maybe fancies himself an opportunity. The Ultra Shock Laser goes wide, and Reeker with the Ghost just going to disengage. So it's a 1-for-0 in favor of Oplon, but dragon was taken.
Yep, importantly, like you mentioned, that second dragon goes the opposite way of the first, and we are once again seeing this complete dichotomy between who can get first and second drakes. And there we go, Oplon secure themselves the kill, but they are still, looking in that second dragon, which they were quite happy, or would have been quite happy rather, to have secured. Something that, we haven't really talked about in this game is the gangplank here, I suppose, because obviously we talked a lot about this Shyvana in the top lane and all the proxy farming that they've been doing as Adam. But gangplank in his own right is no slouch in any capacity. If you get free farm, which is effectively what happens when your laner neglects to try and trade with you in any capacity, the gangplank tends to be very scary the later the game goes. Twist.
Oh, the bandage toss barely goes wide. I like that attempt, but as you said, Gangplank has no problems farming under tower, right? So while the proxy farming was really good for pressure, it wasn't actually denying that much from Darlik. So I like that you bring that up. And the Cannon Barrage, we saw it in that bottom side play with the Rift Herald, directly resulted in a kill onto Shio, and that pressure will only increase as the game progresses.
And you can just see Twist here constantly using this little brush to generate pressure. Crownie going to hop back to the Croaks to pick up some more gold for himself. Rift Herald number 2 is going to be spawning inside the next minute, and right now you can see Crownie is actually on his own, no Yuumi attached. That's because Dream Race has gone to Shio. That top side Rift Herald is going to be a much more important objective, and Crownie, as the Ezreal, feels more than safe to be able to farm down on this bot side all alone. And you can even see more priority put down to this bot side by Oplon. Surenfire making his presence felt, making himself a member down on that bot lane, and they're probably just going to trade the turret for the Rift Herald and see what they can get out of it.
Yeah, I mean, turret for Rift Herald trade after plates fall, actually not the end of the world at all, as Herald generally is just used to get that first tower, but they might try to find the dive onto Darlik. The Cannon Barrage goes in, but he's already getting taken so low. Reeker doing so much damage, but the flash, the bird, he's actually going to live. Adam barely gets away, so does Reeker, and everybody stays alive. True Shot Barrage is coming, but it goes wide. Darlik manages to survive, and meanwhile, his bottom lane gets a solo tower.
Yeah, and he's got the Corrupting Potion. He's got Oranges as well. Feels confident enough with the barrels and the range that they provide to clear out this wave. There's no turret trade. Dalek there in a 1 versus 3, wishes upon a star, and Peng delivers with the wish to keep him alive underneath the turret, saving it until the very end. Really nice timing from Peng as well. It's worth mentioning that he doesn't just put it down to begin with. It gets the full effectiveness of the bait underneath the turret. Make sure that BDS go in just a bit too far and ultimately aren't able to find the kill.
And I wonder if Adam maybe went in just a little bit early there, because Reeker wasn't quite there to start putting DPS when Adam initially went in. And you have to think, if you take that many tower shots but do so like a second or two later, maybe you get that last auto attack down onto the gangplank. But that is nitpicking in what was just a very, very close fight, and it ends up favoring Oplan.
Drake number 3 in about 90 seconds time. It is an Infernal, so all of a sudden team's interests have been newly renewed in that objective. Certainly going to be looking to keep their eyes on that as best as possible. Don't want to be giving over too many of those to the enemy team. And I think that for Oplan, very important that they start stacking those up. Like I mentioned earlier, their damage profile is largely physical, and they're up against a Shyvana who's going to be, as we can already see, tanking very, very efficiently. Working towards the, having already finished the Frostfire Gauntlet, not too sure what we're working towards right now. Could just be Randuin's as a second item to make sure that you are near unkillable for a very large portion of the game.
Yeah, Shio, though, constantly getting bullied by this Amumu, it feels like. However, it's just going to be some Krugs taken. I think Twist got a few of those, so he can be pretty happy walking away. And more than anything, it's about the control. Dragon spawning in 40 seconds. As you said, the team's very interested in these Infernal Dragons. And with Oplan pushing so far into BDS Academy's jungle, it should make a potential fight that much easier.
No crucial item spikes hit for Oplan just yet. You're really looking at 3 items for Bung before he's a true menace. I suppose the Moonstone being picked up for Peng is probably the biggest thing that we can touch on right now. But look at Crowny's gold. He's currently sat Muramana plus Triforce. This Ezreal at 2 items is going to be hitting like a truck if we see a fight around that bot side Drake. You can tell that Oplan, they're the ones that are going to get this because BDS Academy have just given it up. They've ceded control. They're making sure that Rika has support on that top side for him to be able to take the turret. And they can move back into their jungle with a little bit of caution, making sure that they're not just getting caught out on a rush bait. But overall, the Drake does go to Oplan, and that gives them now that 1 dragon lead.
Yeah, BDS, they finally get the tower that they were sitting in for earlier, but giving up the dragon, I'm wondering, Rudude, if they're not feeling super confident to team fight into the Soraka Olaf at this point in the game. I mean, both of them sitting on 1 item. Is maybe that the read that this is sort of their strongest moment with that particular combination?
I don't know. I think that they've got a little bit of time to go a little bit further as well. A couple of items being picked up, obviously going to be aiding them as they get to those items. But my large concern is more so how much Oplan are sort of seeding for these objectives. They took their time with getting that bot turret for Rift Herald last time out, but this top turret that they're looking to trade back on right now is probably going to be the biggest thing that they get, where you can see BDS Academy actually committing to sort of 3 people down on this bot side to try and secure this tier 2.
Adam did invest the teleport up there on the top side to prevent Bung from taking that one away solo, but it is worth noting, BDS has been the team that I think we've been saying has been playing more for gold than the things like the Dragons, which is indicated in the scoreboard. But the gold is actually even. It's dead even, and I think part of that is because of the kills that Oplan has managed to find. There's been some nice engages from Twist, some maybe minor overextensions as well from BDS Academy. So Oplan, it feels like their game plan has worked out pretty well because of the fact that they've managed to keep the gold so even.
Yeah, and Adam has already finished his second item as well. Want to quickly note, it was not the Randuin's, was in fact just a straight up Warmogs. Doesn't want the armor just yet. He's going to be opting into flat health and saying, you can't really cut through me since you don't have that damage just yet. Quite happy to see if that gets put to the test and it was a valid rationale or not, as we're 2 items on the Shyvana with 3,500 health. Oh, Yumi caught.
Yeah, that's a cat in a jungle. Not where you want to be. That cat's not the king, as Reeker also going to drop Twist with the second bandage toss, finds it. Really clean picks there from Oplan. And Baron spawning in 5 seconds. There's no way they do it, right?
I mean, they're going to try, it looks like. All of a sudden, they've got Soraka as well. It's worth remembering. Oh, Shio, that was max range.
Yeah, another bandage toss. Shio gets rooted up. Remember, Reeker has no teleport. He is running the ghost, but you do have a Soraka, so you can tank this up, but oh, and Shio gets chunked so hard. Here comes Adam, but it's Twist on the re-engage. Darlic over the wall, going to kill Crowny. The axe barely not landing. Adam going to walk away. So it's just another kill taken back. But Oplon, they are out fighting BDS.
I'm happy with that. I think that's really smart by Oplon. They bait everybody in and they say, okay, we know we can't do the Baron. Let's just try and bait them in and get another kill. And for BDS Academy as well, that's a win, right? They stopped the enemy team getting the Baron. So on both fronts, it's the scenario that they were after. And with BDS only losing one, that's not the worst case for them either. But really good stuff so far from Oplon. They've obviously 6-0 right now, actually generating themselves a gold lead with this kill and those extra little bits going over. Genuinely, a very curious game thus far.
Yeah, and I mean, look at that setup right there. No chance there, unfortunately, for Dreamer Ace. And then the follow-up was just very nice here from Oplon. And as you say, they get a lead off of this play. And is it substantial? No, but it is something. And it has been, as you said, a pretty clean game so far. But now, as we sort of progress into this game, Rude Dude, and the replay actually continues with the flash over the wall into killing Crowny and Surenfire zoning out the rest of the team. But as we sort of continue into this game, there is the Soraka and there is the Zeri. Do you think that scaling will be enough to contend with this Ezreal and the Victor later on?
We're actually found out right now. There could well be a skirmish. I do think they've got very good scaling tools. I think that if they can get on top of Rika like they did in the last fight, then Rika's scaling is all but nothing if he gets one shot at the start of team fights. I want to quickly give some credit over to Twist, who has been perfect at finding these engagements, certainly looking for fights and picking them out correctly. Knows when his team are strong, knows when he's ready and willing to take those fights. So good stuff thus far by the Oplon support, certainly making his presence felt through the game so far. Check it. Oh,
no way. Oh my word, Shio gets away with murder in broad daylight with that recall.
Surenfire was walking past it. Oh my, that was brutal.
Bung
that
checked
was
it like
brutal.
A half a second too late. Half a second too late to check it. The Q was where Shio had been as well. Unreal right there, but either way.
A Drake in 30. Oh, not even 30. 15 seconds now. Oplon the ones first into the river, whether or not they can stay there. Darlic has got a good flank angle, but he is going to be spotted out.
Oh, but he's just going to drop the cannon barrage and go straight in. Darlic might be sprinting it a little bit. He ends up getting taken down, but Twist with the beautiful engage finds 3. Reeker gets one shot. There's the scaling. It's gone. And now without the Victor, they can't win the team fight. But no, the Yuumi doing so much work. Adam's still alive. Shio's still alive. The armor stacking's crazy. Bung, do you have what it takes to win this fight? One more auto will do it. Yes, he does. Shio now into the back line, going to try to take down Pang. It's the auto attack from Dreamer Ace. Bung in the 1v2. Do you have enough? He has the passive auto attack, but the healing from the Yuumi is just so substantial, and it's a one-team fight for BDS Academy.
Just barely a one-team fight, worth noting. 3 for 4 in favor of BDS Academy. They get their first sets of kills on the board and even up that scoreline, but you can see Bung is enough of a presence to warrant them not going for this Drake. Shio though, Cyclone not available, but he will be able to clone and stop this recall if he wants to. Not going to be the case, and as soon as he goes back, immediately start up that Drake. Important items picked up for Bung. He's so close to that Infinity Edge, doesn't quite have it yet. BDS Academy, as soon as that Drake goes away, immediately, or as soon as that Zeri goes away, Drake is the target.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate too. I feel like the idea from Darlic was good, but you're still playing Gangplank. You're still so squishy, so he doesn't really get as much damage down as I think he was hoping for, and that really was, I think, a difference maker in the fight, because in the extension, Bung was doing so much work, but without any sort of secondary damage carry, it feels like there just wasn't enough in the tank.
That's what I'm concerned about. This is all Bung, really. If Darlic is going to throw away his life like that at the start of a fight, you need to see a little bit more staying power from Darlic. Going for those flank angles can be great if you're not spotted, but he was on a ward, didn't have a sweep to check it either. No pinks down to sort of scout his way through. So we need to see a little bit more cognizance and preservation of life. Twist now.
Yeah, Twist not preserving his life. He gets jumped on by the dragon, but he's actually going to be able to walk away. Final chapter trying to disengage. Surenfire doing so much damage, but he doesn't have the Soraka. Now, the target focuses to Bung. There's no way everybody lives, and he does not. Crowny gets taken down. There's the primary carry. This might be the Baron.
Yeah, and just like that, at the drop of a hat, BDS Academy are the ones who are going to come away with the Baron buff. Darlic, the only real damage source left alive. You've got Twist, Peng, and Surenfire, who are all acting as either supports or frontline. and they're just not enough to get this one going. Dalek going to be able to try and take this mid-tier 1 turret in exchange, but Baron buff does go over. Traded for the tier 1 turret. What can BDS do with this Baron now? Big gold swing goes their way off the killing of the worm, and they've got 3 turrets outside the base that they can try and claim.
Yeah, I mean, OP1, it feels like they had locked BDS Academy out of so many of the plays they had wanted to make, but then one big mistake, warding without your Soraka, gets heavily punished here from BDS, and they're able to find their first big advantage of the game. Now, as you say, it's about what they can do with it. So much is up and available for them to take. It seems like the priority is just going to be to push out this mid lane and then go from there.
If they can get that mid pushed out, then they start playing out in their other side lanes too. That's like the rule number 1, I guess. I always value getting mid control and then moving into the jungle, into the side lanes accordingly. But OPL have done a good job at the very least at just pushing those waves back, resetting what that Baron will be able to accomplish by about 10-20 seconds. And that can be the difference between one wave crashing, one wave not crashing in a Baron buff timer. Looks like full focus for BDS Academy is, as you mentioned, going to be around this mid lane. And if they can take down these 3 turrets outside the base, that's effectively, you know, another 1,500-1,600 gold going over to them. But OPL here, standing stalwart underneath this tier 1 turret or tier 2 turret. They don't want to give it away too easily.
No, they don't, and they're doing a pretty decent job of wave clearing. I mean, every wave that you burn is good, so even though this tower probably will eventually fall, it's falling slowly, and that's what matters. They're just trying to stall out this Baron. I do want to point out, though, massive slow push is stacked up here on the bottom side for BDS, and Shio has now gone to escort that. Also on the top side, so the side wave management from BDS is nice. Maybe that'll result in them being able to pull OP1 across the map.
Yeah, to get this tier 2, it means that they can then transfer into either side lane very easily with a massive wave already stacked up. Shern getting chunked out as well. Remember, Peng is there ready and waiting with the Soraka to give some heals over. This is looking a little bit scary now for OPL. The poke coming out of Adam starting to amp up, and may not be a lot, but he's got himself some Morellonomicon for the magic damage to be dealing. So at least putting down some good anti-healing and a little bit of damage from those bursts as the dragon form.
Yeah, and Shio able to get that bot lane tower with that slow push that was stacked up. And now with Pang being forced back to base, using so much of his HP pool to heal his carries, it does mean that the inhibitor tower goes down. Big Ultra Shock laser onto Crowny, but he has healing of his own in the form of the Yuumi Dreamer Ace, looking to keep him topped off. But Shio actually under threat. Cannon Barrage goes down. He's just dead. Maybe he can trade back Darlik. He's going to try to jump in. One more auto will do it, but no, doesn't have it. Darlik has the healing. It is going to be the trade of the inhibitor for that kill, but OP1's probably not too sad about that.
Yeah, job done for BDS Academy, though. They break open the base and they get an inhibitor on top of it. So they're going to have now 5 minutes of ever pushing pressure in that mid lane when there's 2 Drakes to 2. May not be the most important factor because we love to see, you know, mid lane control into setting up for Drakes. When that Drake's spawning in about 40 seconds time, have to make sure that OPL are doing their due diligence with setting up around that objective if they want to contest this fight at all. Important item spike had been hit. They do have the Infinity Edge completed for Bung, so a new sort of approach to these team fights is opened up to them. We talked about it in the last team fight that was so close that Bung was their only real source of damage, and this game largely revolved around him. We need to see if he can continue to utilize that and be enough for the team, or if he's just going to get overrun by the sheer dominance that there is of, you know, Rika, Shio, Adam, and Crowny all having their own sources of damage.
Definitely will come a lot down to that positioning. Now, this dragon fight, very important. It's not going to be sold for either team. BDS Academy, they've maintained the gold lead since this Baron. The gold swing so drastically in their favor. Now Twist barely misses out on the bandage toss. Dragon down to 4,500 HP, begins to reset just a little bit. Adam's ultimate is running out. Maybe that's what they're waiting for, but Surefire going to get the ult, going to get the heals. The Dragon goes over to the side of BDS Academy, but can they find the fight? 2 have already dropped. Shio going into the back line. Surefire barely goes down to the burn. Darlik trying so hard. Bung trying so hard, but Rika running forward with those death rays, and Peng is out of health. The heals are gone. Bung needs to stay alive, but he can't. Crowny with the arcane shift in, able to find it, and OP1 doesn't quite have the damage.
Oh, it's Bung trying so hard, but not able to do so. Shio's just going to walk in and try and put down
Darlik.
The stops, the recalls. They're going to be prevented. As you can see, the bot side of the map is just all Crowny and Rika right now. Oh, guess what? He's going to get this second as well. They're going to be able to get these kills and get back to base here. The game's not over yet, but there is a second inhibitor now being taken down.
Yeah, cheeky little double kill from Darlik, able to pick those two up. That actually is pretty huge. That's going to save you a lot of time to fix your waves as well for Oplon, not just the game. So they lose the fight and they lose the dragon, but they're able to stabilize. Losing the inhibitor, though, is the big price.
Yeah, and Dalek, you know, doing all that damage on the back end of the team fight, it needs to be during the team fights. We saw Bung just doing as much as possible, but didn't quite have enough to cut through literally all 5 members. The Cannon Barrage was doing great work on one end of the fight, but there was nothing else to be done through that front line either. I think that he put a good chunk into Adam to begin with, but not being able to really follow that up with, you know, everything else that is necessary if this composition for Oplon is going to succeed. Peng, Twist, and Shenfire are all doing as good as they can. They've, you know, been given a certain card that they've been dealt by these champions that they've drafted for themselves, and they need to see the rest of the pieces of their deck start to stack it up.
Yeah, most certainly. They need to try to have these team fights come together, but it is going to be Baron on the map, and Rude Dude, walk me through this setup process.
Bot lane inhibitors down, which gives Dalek a very difficult choice. There's going to be a slow push setup in that bot side, and it means that if they spend too long sitting around at this Dragon Oplon, or at this Baron, excuse me, Oplon, that there's going to be a massive wave that crashes into their Nexus turrets. It's a long way away before they need to worry about that. But BDS Academy likely just going to sit and wait, just make sure that they can play this bait game, or just find Shern.
Yeah, Shern does get chunked quite a bit. That is the Chaos Storm thrown down for not a kill. And remember, anytime you leave someone on low HP up against the Soraka, they can be healed back. But Peng is having to chew through his own health bar. Now Shernfire goes for the Ragnarok Twist, finds the Vanish Toss, but Shio's not there. That was the clone. Now your support is dead, your engage is gone. And BDS, what a huge play.
Dalek, not part of that fight. Bung, not a part of it either. Still do have a couple of important tools. We've still got Bung ready with that Lightning Rush. If they want to go for a fight, now is the time to do so. Twist being down is your leading gauge. That doesn't mean that Shern can't just roll his way forward into this team comp.
Yeah, Shio tried to keep the Baron leash. Now they're going to let it reset. Redemption going to heal everybody on Oplon so significantly, but the super minions, look at the pings down in the bottom side. Someone
just
has
wait.
To answer. Yep.
BDS Academy can play this waiting game right now. There's 2 super minions stacking onto that bot wave. Twist probably can't deal with them all on his own, and he's not even going to try. Oplon, they have to make a decision. BDS are, you know, sort of teasing the Baron right here, but they've got nothing to do. They don't need to go for this.
Yeah, Reeker getting chunked out so much by the Ultra Shock Laser. He's 0 HP. He just dies to the barrel. Your big carry is now dead. Darlik, considering the Blast Cone, doesn't go for it. Shio into the back line, going to try to get Bung. Adam follows through, but Bung over the wall, tries to stay alive. The passive auto isn't enough. Shio finds the kill. Now Darlik under fire. It's another kill onto Shernfire. And Oplon, it looked like a good setup. They killed the enemy mid, but now they're on the run. Twist gets slowed down. He's going to do Curse of the Sad Mummy. Bandage toss out to the Raptors. Darlik with the oranges to try to run away, but Twist, he has no such luck. He has no way out. He's actually going to flash over the wall with the wish and somehow survive. BDS Academy, they're going back to the Baron.
Yeah, and they should, right? The issue that Oplon had right there was they sent Peng back to base to try and deal with the super minions. And yes, he cleared them, but it costed them a Nexus turret, cost them the Baron, and it cost them the fight. Bung wasn't able to survive through the front line of Shio and Adam. Adam does a good enough job at zoning out Dalek from the fact so that he can't do much more outside of take down Reeker at the top end of it. And in a 4 versus 4 at that Baron pit, Oplon had done the hard work. They'd forced them off the Baron. They overreach, they go for a little too much, and it costs them dearly.
Does cost them dearly. I mean, I thought once that barrel landed, Reeker died without doing anything, and that would have been it. But unfortunately, Bung just wasn't able to kite it out. The dive squad of Adam and Shio was too strong, and on the backside, Shernfire, he just doesn't have the same effect. He doesn't do enough damage. And now, the Dragon, it's Soul here for BDS Academy if they get this, and that you would think would be game ending. Look at Adam on the flank, just going to ult in to try to make some waves. Bung is left to the wolves right now, does end up ulting. Darlik gets chunked so low, Crowny doing so much. The poke is immense, and Shio into the back line. That's the engage that you want. 2 have dropped already. Make that 4, make that 5, as BDS Academy clears Oplon off the rift.
An absolute wipe for BDS Academy. Destroy them in the end. It had been a close enough game. Fights going back and forth. 14-16 your ending game kill score. But BDS Academy constantly had the better end of objectives, the better setup, and the better notion of how to close out this game. Take the mid lane inhibitor as a formality for them to storm their way forward. This final Nexus turret and Nexus still stand.
Yeah, they won't stand for long, though. BDS Academy, they complete the blue side sweep. The mid-table teams complete their run. It's going to be BDS Academy closing it out here in the LFL.
Like you mentioned, Hawk, all